Hello everybody and welcome to the NBL1 show. I'm Cameron Luke. Time to get into a huge weekend. Ballarat men, who were nearly unbeatable a month ago, dropped another one on a weekend, and Geelong and Bendigo in the women's side of it just continue to set the pace. Get involved anytime you like. Of course, at NBL1, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course on the YouTube channel to watch all the games. No Liam Santamaria today, but I do have superstar. You're not a former Olympian, are you? Because I guess you always have done.
You're always an Olympian, mate.
Always a Olympian. I speak of Mark Worthington. Hello, big fella.
G'day, mate. Time for a little bit of NBL1 action again, and it was a big weekend.
Huge weekend, and in fact, one of the most impressive stat sheet you'll ever see from any one person. And talking stat sheet and filling it up, we're joined by the young gun, Sam Froling from Dandenong, and soon to be Illawarra as well. How are you doing, big fella?
Pretty good. Loving life down here in Melbourne. So.
Bet you have. Before we get to Illawarra, before we talk Australian representation as well, Dandenong, a couple of wins in a row and a good win over Knox on the weekend. It's a young team that are playing some good basketball.
Yeah, we went through a bit of a patch where we dropped a couple, but we're playing well now, and I think we're on a bit of a roll, so hopefully we can keep it going.
I think I asked this of every guest who we have on the desk, be it WNBL or NBL, and they're trying to get into the league or already in the league. But how hard, I know you're signed now, but coming into it, how hard is it to find the right balance of fitting into a team and making sure you play team basketball and help them get W's compared to, hey, this is an opportunity here, a lot of people watching, and impress the people that matter when it comes to an NBL team?
Yeah, super hard. I mean, I think I just want to win is what I wanted. And so coming in, I was like, I got to do my part to win, but I'm also like, you're always conscious of how you perform and what you need to do. So it is a bit difficult to balance, but I think I've done a reasonable job, and we've got a couple wins on the board. So.
Down at Dandenong, you have another Melbourne Tigers legend down there, and Chris Anstey, who you've been playing one-on-one with. Tell us what the score's at, who's up at the moment, and what has the big fella been working with you on?
I'm up. He's only won one game against me.
Did you dislocate his rib?
I might have hurt his rib a little bit. But, he's been really good to learn off, and he's teaching me lots of different tricks and little vet moves and stuff. So he's been really good to work with.
Now, I've known you for a long period of time now, and family, friends. Your dad is one of the tougher individuals in this world, and now with the technology of watching all the games, I'm sure the feedback comes back. What has your old man, Dutchie, been saying about your game so far?
He's been pretty happy with most of them. The games where I kind of, I look a bit unfit or whatever, he's always after me. I think in the first two games I got back, he was counting how many times I put my hands on my hips. And I was like, what kind of stat is that? But... he watches, and he's been pretty happy with the last couple. Just giving me like last game I got a few reverses.
Did he challenge you to go dunk on someone?
Yeah, he has. A few of the shots, I'm not shooting the greatest percentage at the rim right now. And so a few of those shots he said just go up and try and dunk it and kind of float it in. So.
How are you finding the league? Of course, first year in its format, and of course 18 teams. So you're seeing some teams you haven't seen anyone yet. But when it comes to the big V teams coming in, the SABL teams, you're a young team, a young player yourself. How are you finding the competition and the way that's evolving almost week by week?
Yeah, it's really good. Played in Seabull when I was at the Institute for 2.5 years, and that was good. But I think this is taking it to another level. Obviously, there's more teams, and it seems like everyone's getting better each week. And I think, looking at the ladder, the teams kind of from 4th to 10th are all very similar win-loss ratios. So it's really anyone can beat anyone, and it's exciting.
Yeah, just on that, we're going to talk about Frankston a little bit later on, but they're one of those teams that just continue to get better each and every week. Had a big win over Ballarat on the weekend.
DP, someone that you've known through the Australian stuff, as your coach now at Dandenong, how's he been in this sort of setting compared to an Australian setting, and what's his message been to you from the start of the season to now?
It's been really similar to kind of the Australian stuff, and my big thing coming back was I want to enjoy the game again. I didn't have a great experience at college, and before every game he's just go and have fun, just enjoy your time out there. And I have been doing that, and he's been really supportive and letting me kind of blossom in this league. And it's very similar to the Australian stuff. Obviously we want to win and all, but he's kind of all about enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Your choice to go to Illawarra was a big one. Obviously, Cairns, with your connection with Mike Kelly, was really close, and obviously family just down the road in Queensland. In Townsville, What was the decision process of choosing Illawarra over someone like Cairns, and how difficult was that for you?
It was really hard. We're really close with Mike. He's basically family to us. And so that was hard. But in the end, Illawarra presented me with they're taking a huge approach to development this year. And that's ultimately what I need.
And you're playing with a lot of friends now, right?
Right, yeah. Like, I know Dan Greeter from my time at the Institute with him, and Toddy Blanchfield was up in Townsville for a long time, so I know him a little bit. And so kind of just going there, their approach to development, and they really want to make me the best player I can be, and you know, I was pretty excited by that.
Are they putting you into a 4-man position, or are they trying to build you into a 5?
Mostly, like, primarily 4.
Yep.
Now, with Boone signing, obviously, I get probably more minutes there, which I'm happy with.
Yeah.
Going forward, and this is obviously we've got 3x3 at the moment as well. We've got obviously a lot of different things towards the end of the NBL1 year, and I think Dandenong's a team that, you know, not dissimilar to Frankston, but you mentioned the fact that teams are getting better each and every week. We're going to have a red-hot finals in both men's and women's, where teams are playing really well and are peaking when it comes to performance, unless there are guys and girls who are unavailable. What with you, with Illawarra, and of course with NBL1 commitments, is there a conversation there that you will definitely be at Dandenong at the end of the year if finals beckon? How does that work?
Yeah, I'll be here for finals.
Yep. Okay, cool. I like it. Yeah. Bang. I'm going to finish business for Dandenong first, and I'm going to go dominate the NBL.
Before we move on, obviously the Froling name is in basketball circles. Your brother's trying out for the NBA draft right now, and it's had a few really good camps. You also have twin sisters. If you have to match up on Harry, are you taking Alicia or Keely as your teammate?
That's hard.
Don't sit on the fence, make a decision.
Yeah, different positions. I'm going to go with Keely.
Ooh, Alicia, that's all right. One of the greatest college players ever for SMU just gets left off. But I'm sure Harry would be happy to take her.
All right, Sam, we know he's going to be playing in the NBL for Illawarra next year. And another young guy who we had on, and in fact a former Illawarra development player, he might end up back there, is Nick Pozoglu, who is dominating right now for Melbourne. 34 and 12 on the weekend. Of course, missing some players who are on duties with South East Melbourne Phoenix. He had a last week, as we look at his highlights from his 34 and 12 game against Bandits, but he also against Albury Wodonga, but went over to Perth and had a scrimmage as well as he tries to force his way into the Wildcats roster. Have you played Melbourne this year?
Yeah.
Just talk a little bit about Nick and how he went against you and how you see his game developing.
Yeah. Well, Melbourne, I think we had them in one of our first 3 or 4 games, and they were obviously kind of getting their feet underneath themselves, and I think we smacked them by about 40, but obviously they've gone on a...
Hey, no humility here, mate. You just smacked them by 40. Don't give them excuses.
They've gone on a 5-0 run, I think, in the last 5 games, and they're sitting at 4. Somewhere up there. Poz was like really impressive. I'd never really played again. I didn't really know who he was, but we scouted him a little bit, and he's a pretty phenomenal athlete, and he's putting up big numbers. So.
I think it shows when you go over and do something like that with the Perth Wildcats and then you come back to the NBL1 that the game almost slows down a little bit for you.
Yep. And
you find your feet even more. And he was already having a great season in NBL1, and the ability to go over, have that tryout with the Wildcats, come back, you'd be feeling good about your game. And obviously he balled out on the weekend. Yeah.
Now Frankston are a team that are starting to play really well as well. With Poz at the Wildcats, it's all. In the next couple of weeks, I think Owen Ology's another guy that the Wildcats are looking at as well. So there are players in the NBL1 who the Wildcats are keen on being part of that roster. I spoke about Frankston, and Liam Santamaria and I have discussed this a couple of times, and we think that as time goes on, Dan Trist has played some games after coming back from Spain and then missed some games being on the South East Melbourne Phoenix tour to China. But their big win against Ballarat, 87-80 on the weekend. And they're really, I think if you look at it, Bozeman 27, Barker 18. They're a well-rounded team and defensively really good, holding the Ballarat to 80. Have you seen Frankston?
Yeah.
Tell us your thoughts. You played them earlier in the year too, didn't you?
Did, yeah.
And you beat them as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
How much did you smack them by?
That one was a bit closer, I think. It was like a 10, yeah.
They're a team, though. If you look at the lineup they've got, they are getting better each and every week. Now, yet again, same question I asked you. Is interesting to see with Dan Trist how that sort of plays out with South East Melbourne Phoenix as they gear up for the year. But if you look at the way they're playing their basketball, they're enjoying it. They're getting just probably could have been a charge, but it counts at one. They are a team that like to get up and down the floor as well, and they're starting to become dangerous, aren't they?
Yeah, certainly. When we faced them they didn't have Trist yet, so he's obviously a big name to add to their roster. And they've won a lot of games recently, so I think we've got to face them again soon.
It's Andrew Harms, who's an old teammate of mine at Metro State back in the day. I think he came out and said, look, we know we can put points on the board, but it's our ability to play defence. And they held Ballarat to under 41% on the weekend, which goes a long way, especially with a team like that has that much talent. So they obviously have the ability to play well. It's just when they choose to play defence that they become a lot more dangerous. And going forward, they'll need to play that sort of defence against everyone.
Do you want to see how they go over the next couple of weeks, Dan Trist, to continue to fit in? Of course, no games this weekend, but we do look towards the women's side of it as well. Before we get into the results, the news in the last really 12 hours or 24 hours, the NBL1, to make sure that there is no clash with the Opals camp. It's around the same time. They've changed their final structure. Great by the NBL1. So in the week one of the finals where it's meant to be, the championship game will still be on the same date. The men's NBL1 finals will still start on time. It'll be the same weekend. The second weekend of NBL1 finals will see the first, what would be traditionally the first 2 weekends of NBL women's all condensed into one. So just common sense. It's not always easy to do logistically. I understand that, but outstanding, because the same theory, you know, with the Worlds under 19s, which we'll get to in a moment, or with 3x3 or Opals, or whatever it is, you want to have the best players playing come finals in NBL1, and they've seen that with the women's side.
Absolutely, and I think it will be even greater with the new signings, Maddie Garrick going to Nunawading, Alice Koenig signing in Eltham. Like, we've just got some great talent in NBL1, and to be able to display it, because there's nothing worse than having a player for majority of the season and then come finals that they have to go off elsewhere. And for the league to see that and say, no, we want our Opals talent on display in NBL1, I think it just makes so much sense.
All right, 50-point games. We've had a couple of them in the women's this year in NBL1, and on the weekend we've seen a 33-26 from Lauren Scherf. And this team, Knox, are really starting to play good basketball. They've cemented themselves in the top 4 as well. They don't really run that deep. I saw them a couple of weeks ago when they beat Diamond Valley. They go 7, 8 at the best, but Lauren Scherf, 33-26. And boys, it does not matter what competition it is around the world. That is, and they are phenomenal numbers.
And I mean, she's been a young developing big for a long period of time now, and she's put up some great numbers all year round. Obviously, this is just a huge game by her, and they're playing against an undermanned Dandenong team that obviously didn't have Beck Cole or Izzy Anstey, who was with the national team duties. But still, you've still got to put up those numbers. And I read a comment that she was sort of matching up against Planeta and wanted to know if she had more rebounds than her at every quarter. And obviously she went out and got herself a bag full. And to put on 33 points as well, you know, it was a game that they should have won. But to put on a display like that to make sure you do get it done is an incredible effort.
33-26, Sam, are you going to to give us that sometime soon?
I'll certainly try.
Yeah,
over a double-header weekend.
That was obviously a stadium that you were playing at after it. Do you catch much of the NBL1 women's team? Of course, Dandenong have been good early, and of course, as you touched on, Beck Cole with 3x3, Judy's probably heard just a little bit when she's not there. Do you see much of the women's league?
Yeah, we'll go and watch the girls' games before we play, and just kind of sit around while we wait to get in the locker room or warm up. And it's been pretty good.
So did you see much of the Lauren Scherf 33-26 before?
A little bit, yeah.
Inspire you to go for a double-double, which you did have?
Yeah, I would have been a bit more happy to match a stat line, but you know, I was pretty happy with 15 and 10.
All right, as it stands as well, Geelong and Bendigo. While we talk about Dandenong, Knox in particular, who've come on really well in the last couple of weeks, Geelong and Bendigo are the 2 best teams in it. Currently, they've separated themselves a little bit from the pack as we do look a bit. 13-1 for Geelong, who in the pre-season, boys, was my tip for the NBL1 women's. Of course,
Who'd you tip?
I tipped Geelong in the women's.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah.
It's just the other Muppet that didn't have him, right?
You know, he did well. He's gone for Bendigo, so it's not exactly... He's not far off. We were 12.
No, he's miles off. He's miles off.
Is to Geelong, and they've separated a little bit of space. Although when I say that, Knox on in 9-2, so they're right. You know, they've had a pretty good...
Do you have a Cam Luke NBL1 power rating like you do with your other show?
I cannot have power rankings in NBL1 because I take so much abuse from my AFL power rankings. I just can't do it twice a week.
Can I just say your Game of Thrones finale throw in there was one of the best work you've ever done.
I'll tell you who didn't like my Game of Thrones finale. Carlton fans. And they're still sliding in my DMs and not in the best way, but we do digress. Ballarat, obviously in the men's side as well, got beat, so it's very tight at the top. But when we look at Geelong and Bendigo, in the women's side of it, they are the two best teams at the moment, aren't they? Even though Knox and Dandenong are having their moments.
Absolutely, and Geelong, for me, has just got way too much talent, and they across the board just fill all spots nicely. They're a fun team to watch. I've watched them a couple of times, just because I'm interested in seeing how that team goes. But, like you said, Bendigo's right there. I think Dandenong are the interesting one, especially when Beck Cole is playing, because I think she's the best player in the league.
I agree.
And so she's a tough matchup for anyone. So if I'm looking at the ladder, I probably don't want to match up with Dandenong anywhere along the line, because you're worried that she might have that breakout game that can just beat you.
Who's the best team you've played so far?
Ballarat.
Ballarat?
Probably. Yeah.
What makes them so tough?
They're just very deep. They're just a solid team, and they've got a great coach.
Just keep running.
Choco,
Yeah, they do.
yeah.
Brendan
They've got
Jones.
great length, and
Yeah,
when you can have that pressure on the perimeter and then force it to someone like Danga Kuth, who we've seen get double-digit blocks in the game multiple times this year, I think it just makes that defence and then run into the transition offence so much more easier, and they've been able to do it multiple times this year. Obviously, they've got guys signing in the NBL with Kwani. Obviously, Jerry Evans wants to get back there as well. Danga Kuth signing with the Phoenix. So they're just an exciting team to watch.
Jerry Evans has been in the NBL before and played some time. Was he a teammate of yours or not?
No, he wasn't. He's the year after.
Is he an NBL? Is he like he talks about it? And I think people think that he's right on the cusp, I guess, of the periphery of the NBL. But can you see a team signing him as an import?
You got to see what the other pieces are.
Yep.
I think there's no doubt that he's a third import on a team, but it all depends on what your 1 and 2 pieces are, and that story's to be told over the next month or two. For him, he just needs to knuckle down and play well at the moment. He didn't have the best game on the weekend, obviously, against Frankston, but for him, he definitely has the attributes, and we saw when he was with the Taipans that he can catch and fire at any stage and turn a game. So for him, I think he just needs to show more consistency in the NBL1 and do that for the rest of the season before people probably look at him as an import.
Kilsyth, have you played Kilsyth?
Not yet.
Okay, so they had a wonderful start to the year and started to struggle. They bounced back on Sunday
We
night.
blame
Lost.
Felix.
Well, this is what he told me. So they lost Saturday night to Waverley, to Eltham, and then they beat Waverley on Sunday. And I actually text Felix von Hoff, who's the captain, remarkably, of the Kilsyth Cobras, which blows my mind. And I said to him what happened, and he actually said he went home, watched Any Given Sunday on Saturday night, and put his own masterpiece together. And he reckons he delivered a speech prior to the game on Sunday against Waverley that inspired them to a fairly comfortable win anyway, 101-68. So if there's any truth in that,
the players were probably running out of the locker room so they didn't have to watch it.
I do notice looking at the box score, he didn't really contribute much when it comes to productivity on the court, but there you go. All right, before we let you go, Sam, you're going to be away for a couple of weeks, aren't you? You will miss some games for Dandenong. Tell us where you're going to be.
The next 3 games, I think. Myself, Darren Perry's our coach, Tyler Robertson and Kelly LePepe. We have our Under-19s World campaign, which starts on the 15th, I think. We got a camp here, and then we're heading over to Latvia, and then to Greece, to the Greek islands. So
Going to fit some basketball in there? Just going to get some
yeah, maybe a little bit.
Anytime you, and obviously Wortho's had the privilege and the honour of doing it as well, anytime you slip on an Australian jersey, it's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's the best feeling in the world. Like you can't beat it. There's nothing better than it.
We just spoke to Chris Golding earlier. Is there any chance that Camp Quality can get something done about this as well?
I know Dad would definitely want me to. But, maybe I'll look into it. I haven't had it for too long. Like, it's only been a year or so, so I don't know if I want to get rid of it just yet.
All right, lastly, your brother, obviously, NBA workouts at the moment. A couple more announced over the next couple of days. So impressing the right people at the moment. The draft isn't too far away. Less than a month, actually, now. You got some inside word, or at the very least, what does he report back when you're texting or having a chat about how it's all going for him?
Yeah, when he's not talking trash to me, it's kind of...
So you don't get anything out of him?
No, he's been really, he's been doing well. They've been working him pretty hard, I'm sure, and he's improved a lot, and he's enjoying it, and I think that's been the biggest part.
I think the biggest thing that I've noticed, because Harry loves his social media, is that he's trimmed down a lot, and he's working hard, and obviously there's been some good stuff, and I think there was 2 more camps that's just been announced as of today.
Washington and Philly, I think.
Washington and Philly have invited him in, so obviously he's pushing the right buttons with the right people, and I think Harry's that intriguing big that is able to knock down a three-point shot, is a great passer, can put it on the deck. He doesn't need the ball all the time, but when he does, usually good things happen.
Do you go some one-on-one when you're in the driveway at home? Or you probably don't see each other too much anymore?
We haven't had a game in a little while. I haven't won enough yet. But I think if I faced him now, it might be a bit different.
Hey, mate, great start to the year. Congratulations on not only Illawarra, but of course under 19 Worlds, and good luck for the year. Basketball journey continues, and you're welcome anytime to pop into the NBL1 desk.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Sam Froling, superstar that he is. Mark Worthington, also thanks to you, mate, for jumping in with Liam Santa Maria away.
Look, mate, I don't take holidays, except for the 2 weeks that I just took in Cairns.
On that note, we are out of here. At NBL1 on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, NBL1 on YouTube as well. Every single game is broadcast as we head towards the second half of the year. No games this weekend, so everyone involved. Put your feet up, relax, and looking forward to it all starting. I think I'm going to go to Geelong the week after. I think I'm going to go watch my girls, the Super Cats, get another win.
Our girls.
Our girls. Sorry, Mark. Our girls. On that note, NBL1 show, #NBL1. We'll see you next week.